And now, Rate That Album, Season 3, with Paul Muad'Dib and Joe Fremming. Two guys who know stuff.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Rate That Album, the back and forth album review with myself, Paul Muad'Dib, and my good, wonderful, non-depressed friend, Joe Fremming. Joe, how you doing, sir?
Freezing my balls off, Paul.
Freezing my balls. Yeah, we got the wizard. No, you and I were talking just beforehand. We're both at the exact same temperature, and it feels like negative 35.
Oh God.
So I have a heated blanket that we got, and I also have like an electric fireplace, like furniture piece that I got.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and normally, like, we have the timer set when we sleep, like it's gonna turn off in a half hour, whatever, because the room will get really hot otherwise. The last night, and I know tonight, it's just gonna be on perpetually, because it just gets so cold, and we have like the cellophane up on the windows and shit. But I was like leaning off to the side where my side of the bed is, and I was like, do we have a fucking hole in the wall, because I can feel cold air blowing? And no, it's just how fucking cold it's penetrating the house.
Fuck. Yep. Same here. It's just not gonna get warm. This is fucked.
It's fucked. I think that's the prime
I think
thing. It's
us living here, we're all fucked in the head.
Well, I was listening to Lewis Black, and he was doing a comedy show in the winter, and he's like, I don't know why I'm here, because this isn't weather. This is an emergency condition. Like, this is when you call someone to come and get you out. Like this is not livable.
No. And he's coming to Fargo, I think, in February. He's in for a treat.
I love that, man. So Joe, let's talk a little bit here. We with everything that went on, we did our first, like, what we call our subscriber milestone, posted that. You did not know that was coming. What did you think of the cover of myself and my daughter doing Just You and I by one James Hurley, written by Angelo?
I mean, I liked it more than the James Hurley version. Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was pretty fun. I hate that song, the original version at least. That was one of both you and I discussed how that was a sore spot in the return. The return would have been a solid 10, but now it's at a 9.9 because Lynch had to just had to throw Just You and I back into the.
So what's really interesting about that is I was reading that the actor James, who played James, lobbied because he didn't like the Lynch. He wanted it in his real voice. So when they came back to do it for the return, he was like, "Hey, I would like to do it the way that we recorded it the first time," and Lynch was like, "No."
Plus, I think at his age, he couldn't even hit that falsetto anymore, too. That was another. So they just used the original track.
They just used the original track. Jesus. And again, James did not like that track. He didn't like the song. I guess he's a little bit of a musician, and he was like really disappointed with it.
Can you blame him? Have you heard the song?
Yes. I mean, no, I totally covered a song I never heard. Yeah, no. So, I was looking at it right now, and just in terms of like our RSS feed and our SoundCloud. So on SoundCloud alone, we have 228 listens this month, with another 214 listens coming from other feeds, from third-party apps. So that's Spotify, that's whatever. So we have like over 500 listens already, Joe, which is incredible when you think about it. And then the with the YouTube one, that Steven Seagal one kind of caught some traction too. So yeah, so I just wanted to get that out there again with the death of Angelo and everything. I just felt like it was time to give, we had talked about it months ago that they were going to get this cover. And I can't remember, we said when they get to 100, we had another one. I don't remember if you remember what that was, what we were going to do or what I was going to record. I know there was another.
Remember what we talked about last week, Paul. Honestly, my
fair enough.
Memory is just shot. So
last week we talked about Joe Pesci.
We should come up with another milestone thing for you to cover.
Yeah, we should pick something awful because that was kind of fun. Like, doing something where I don't have to be so serious about it because I had a lot of fun. I didn't really sing, the greatest on it on purpose, threw in my Trey Parker, as you called it, in there.
Come on, you.
Come on, you. You're so cute, you're so awesome. You're like my Barrio 5 Trapper Keeper. Dawson's Creek. It's a Dawson's Creek Trapper Keeper. Yeah, we'll have to come up with another milestone. Maybe that's something we can discuss off air. Maybe I could do like a two live crew cover. But we're here today to talk about another local band that got prominence somewhat nationally, but really kind of a homegrown group here, and that is Low. Joe, what's your knowledge, your experience with the band Low prior to this podcast?
I mean, I know who they are. I heard them a lot when I worked at the Electric Fetus. So, yeah, I mean, I know a little bit about them. I know they're from Duluth, Mormons, and Mimi Parker just passed away a few weeks ago. So.
Yes, and that's really sad. I feel really bad for Alan Sparhawk. So kind of the story is he was originally from, I think it was Seattle, and she was from, I can't remember, like Clearwater. Where was she from? She was from another state or another area in Minnesota, and they ended up meeting in grade school together. And by 1993, they had formed this band, and they were a couple at this point. Like they met in grade school and just kind of fell in love. And actually they, speaking of the Electric Fetus, they actually performed at the Duluth Electric Fetus. For those of you that don't know, it was like a record shop here in Minnesota, a wonderful, wonderful shop. So Mimi Parker, So anyways, they met, hooked up, really found each other. They ended up having kids. They stayed together. Basically, like, again, this is like one of those small town fine loves and success stories that's kind of, cool, a little, cliche, as it were, I guess, if you're cynical. So they basically stayed in Duluth, where they really got their big kind of find was through there was a Gap commercial that one of their songs was used for. And then it was a hymnal version of Little Drummer Boy, actually. And then with Things We Lost in the Fire, which was an album, they started to chart in Europe, of all places. Like, people were like, hey, this is really good. So they started doing tours in Europe. And then in 2005, which I think with one of their strongest albums, arguably, was The Great Destroyer, they got on the Daily Carson show, got started getting MTV radio play. They did too, with a little bit like on the oddities and the late night stuff, but actually on this album with the song Words, but it didn't really catch on and get anywhere. And then they started being used in soundtracks and things like that. The latest being Orange is the New Black. This, as we're talking about, we got into their debut album a year after they formed on a album I'm not too familiar with, Joe. I don't know if you are. Vernon Yard. Are you familiar with that album at all?
No.
No. So I looked into it, and they don't even have a wiki page. Basically, it was an independent label that was owned by Virgin, and really, Low was one of their big, and The Verve were two of their big bands. And when The Verve kind of got in trouble with the Stones, that kind of destroyed this. So they went to another label called Cranky, before finally in 2005 getting picked up by Sub Pop, which is a label both you and I really like. And kind of the rest is history. And they were performing all the way up to Mimi's passing. People didn't even really know until they had to start canceling shows.
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere. Like they were on tour because they just released a new album. That album's like really interesting too. It's
Hey What?
Weird. What?
Hey What album?
New album.
Yeah. No, it's called Hey What.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're touring it, and then she just, illness. Nobody really knew, and then she passed. It's sad.
It's very sad. And actually, what's really great about that album, the Hey What album, it's a double album, as it were, it is getting a lot of traction. It's on Pitchfork's number 5 best albums of the 2021. NPR put it on their best of. Several, The Guardian, Paste, a lot of places. Like, this was really set to be one of their really kind of big albums, and then this tragedy occurs. So that's where we're at. Low is an interesting in terms of genre. It's kind of a slowcore indie rock shoegaze. I picked this album because, again, it's their introduction, and they really haven't, what I feel like, found their form yet. Would you agree with that, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk about I have some gripes about this particular album, and it's the same tempo.
Yes.
Throughout the entire goddamn thing, but this is not my favorite Low album.
Nope.
But it's good for us to get our foot in the door with them. I mean, it's a lot of We'll get into it, but it hits upon major complaints you and I have had with other albums in the past. So
yes,
but it also has things that we love. I mean, there's one particular track I just fucking adore, so we'll get to that. Yeah, and I agree. There's things I don't like, but there's those hint of geniuses in this album as well, where you're like, ooh, I can see kind of, knowing Low and where they went, you could see the building blocks of it. Yeah, the genesis of a lot of what was to come,
Yeah, and another interesting thing about Low, I hinted about it a little bit. So Low, when they first started doing shows, people didn't know how to handle it. Low almost really kind of cemented this slowcore genre, and I don't think they get enough credit for it because it's very minimalist. It was the White Stripes before the White Stripes, except it didn't have the quirkiness to it, because you had Mimi on drums and you had Alan on guitar, and that was really it. They'd have a touring bassist and things like that, but that's really all it was. So
I don't even think there's a bass drum on this album.
right.
It's like the Violent Femmes drummer. It's just the hi-hat and snare.
Exactly. So which was really interesting was they would do these shows and people didn't know how to, because it's so minimalist that you could actually, in some of their early live performances, people would either sit on the floor or at clubs and stuff, people would be unattentive, and Low, to their credit, in order to call people out, completely went the opposite way and would turn their volume down and chastise the audience. They are known for being somewhat antagonistic in their performances. They did a performance, I think it was Rock the Garden, and they did their song "Do You Know How to Waltz," and they created like a super low, like long, drawn out, slowed version of this song, basically with Alan just saying "drone, not drones" throughout the entire thing in protest. The whole audience is confused. The performance of the song "Do You Know How to Waltz" lasted a half an hour for one of their for this one track. And it was Rock the Garden there's a college radio station called The Current in Minnesota. And this was one of the performances that The Current would do. And they were, releasing tracks and things like that. And kind of got them in hot water with the radio.
I mean, here's the thing. They're not for the audience at Rock the Garden.
No.
And here, if you're going to get antagonistic to the crowd because they're not responding to your music, it's a fucking giant beer festival and shit. Like, don't hire low for that. And like, well, you know what you're getting into. You're lucky they didn't throw a fucking beer bottle at your face.
Oh, yeah. They give you an idea of some of the other bands that played at this Rock the Garden. Booker T and the Jones, Nico Case, My Morning Jacket, Doomtree, Trampled by Turtles, Silver Sun Pickups, Bob Mould, Metric, Guided by Voices, Spoon, Connor Oberst, Bell and Sebastian. This is Modest Mouse played at one time. The Flaming Lips came and played at the Rock the Garden. Not really what Low is intended for.
Low is more, yeah. You got to be more in tune and attentive to what they're doing, and it just seems like a weird mix that when you brought that up, I'm like, what the fuck were they playing Rock the Garden for?
Right.
That just seems like a disaster waiting to happen.
It was because of their album The Invisible Way, which had the song Plastic Cup on it. And that was another song that they drew out during that. I think they played a 17-minute version of Plastic Cup as well. Which is a great song, but when you listen to it, it's not beer festival level.
Any festival, like I can't see Low at any festivals.
Maybe I think they had some success, if I'm not mistaken, at the Montreal kind of jazz festival, that's kind of more in their vein. Like, if you saw them at Bonnaroo, they'd probably have the same response. You know what I mean? It's like they're a rock band, but like kind of like in a way that early Pink Floyd was a rock band. Yeah.
Like, they're doing their thing, and it's not for everybody.
No, it's not for everyone. And that's very apparent on this album. And the other thing I thought was really cool is because I love the show, honestly, as a parent, and I wish it was still on, was Yo Gabba Gabba, which is probably one of the best kids show ever made. It had Mark Mothersbaugh of Devo on it. It had Biz Marquee teaching kids how to beatbox. It was the strangest fucking thing. And Low actually did a cartoon and a song for one of the episodes called Family Tree. So yeah, that's enough kind of a background of them. If you're really interested in them, when we're done with this one, I think, Joe, you and I will have some recommendations of other albums that I think people should really check out first. But let's dive in right away with the song Words. I will start because normally I make you start. I love this song on this. I do. I absolutely adore. I think it's a great opener for what the album is. Actually, there was just a cover this year. Someone did a cover of with Mimi's Passing, and I will have to figure out what that who did that again. It literally just came out. I think it was Devin Tomlin. It was Phoebe Bridgers and Storefront Church. They just covered it, and it's a really good cover. It really is. I'm a big fan of Phoebe. Phoebe Bridgers is really growing on me as a musician. But what's your thought about Words?
Yeah, it kind of sets the tone for what you're going to hear, literally and figuratively.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is like one of those albums where like basically the songs could basically blend into one another and be like one giant piece, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And like the magic of this album, it sounds like, at least for me, and maybe you'll get what I'm saying, all these songs sound like that creepy part in the middle of a jam song by like Fish.
Yes, I know exactly.
You know, where things get a little creepy.
Yeah.
And that's that's where Low hit they found that, and they're like, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna make this very atmospheric. Yeah, and it works for me this is another, like when we did that Flaming Lips album, this is a perfect winter album.
Yes.
And I think people like especially with something like Low, people have to understand in the Midwest, music like this perfectly exemplifies like our environment. It's sparse and it's cold and it's vacant and it's sometimes pretty cynical.
Yeah. It's very
depressing.
It's a depressing album. It really is a depressing album. Straight up, not gonna lie. It's a very dark and sad album. Sad album. But really good in that regards. So I really love this song. And you bring up a couple of things, like it's very apropos of what we were saying there, as far as it being a winter album, as far as it being like the weird, like
all their albums are winter albums.
Very much so.
We're very much in a miserable hellscape here in the Midwest.
Yeah, and you know, it reminds me of that Matt Pond PA EP we did, in terms of that, just having that feeling and the Flaming Lips feeling, and yeah, as you said, that weird part in a Fish song like David Bowie. When it gets really weird, I think about
it gets very like low tempo and
about 13 minutes in. Yeah. So I really love that analogy, Joe. That's fantastic. Moving on, we get the next track, which is Fear. One thing I will say, very minimalist in terms of like the album, as far as the song titles. Fear, Cut.
Yeah, they're all one word.
They're all one word titles.
Even the cover, which isn't a one word actual song's not one word, but they kept it at one word with Sunshine.
Yeah, I know, it's so funny.
But yeah, so there's a lot of repeating lyrics, which I know you don't.
I don't like. I don't like
and
that.
And here, like, it bugged me a little bit on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to be honest.
Yeah, it did. It did. You know, one of the things that the one saving grace on this that made the repeating of I Can Hear Them was the harmony. Alan and Mimi have a really strong harmony together when they sing together. And it is absolutely enthralling when they nail it. And some songs they do and some songs they don't. And I think that's by design, honestly. And with this one, they nail that harmony. So I was kind of drawn in by the sounds of it and the drone of it. But yeah, once you start getting to the 7th, 8th, I Can Hear Them, I'm like, all right, I got you guys. I got you. Gotcha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I wanted to hear more Mimi on this. Alan, to me, has never been the most interesting vocalist.
No.
And that's always been kind of my gripe, even with I forget if he does the vocals on Retribution Gospel Choir. It's a side project he did.
It's a side project he did.
But it's just like, she's got such a wonderful voice.
Yeah, she
does. His is so. It's not that interesting to me. So like, a lot of times I get frustrated with that. I'd rather hear her sing these songs.
Yeah, I do agree with that. He is, I think, well, and going back especially to these early ones, he's fine for that 90s sound. Like, he fit in really well. But as you and I know, as the band grew and she started to take more of the forefront, she has a lot more interesting vocals, and And yeah, I forgot just how minimalist she was in terms of vocals on this album, compared to some of the later ones. So,
But this is
yeah.
still the genesis of it.
Exactly.
But I still have my gripes because I know what's to come. And
Yep,
I'm just like, I want more of her here, I want more. Actually, I want bass.
Yep.
Like some of these songs, like if you just added just a little bit of bass there, it would have gone a long way with the atmosphere of it.
100%. 100%. Yeah. This is, like I said, very, 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 like, they they are recording an album, and they only formed not even a full year earlier. So that's kind of ballsy as well. A lot of times bands kind of do a lot of touring, kind of, get their things, kind of figure out what they're going to do. And they're just kind of formed a band, and we're like a couple months later, like, all right, time to record an album. Okay, guys. So there's that aspect from it. Again, I give them credit. It worked in their favor. Fuck it. So next up, Joe, is the song "Fear." What was your thoughts on Phil?
Thought we were talking about fear.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. We're moving on from Fear. My apology.
We're going to cut now.
We're going to cut.
Jesus,
I knew that, Joe. I know. You know what? I
really pulled a Gilmer there.
I pulled a. God damn it, Gilmer. I pulled a boner Sapone.
So I like this song. It has a chorus, in a sense.
It does. It
which is another thing that though does not have a lot of on this album.
No, not chorus heavy at all. It's a lot of well, again, it's
minimalist. It's
minimalist.
What it is. But it fits the vibe, and again, it's very winter for me. Like I was driving around, and like you and I both seem to like to listen to these albums when we're driving.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's just been brutal here. And
it's been rough.
This was just like a great soundtrack as I was white knuckling it to Aldi to get food for 2 weeks because I don't want to be driving anymore.
Right? Yeah, no,
But it was just the perfect soundtrack, and like I could just only imagine like listening to this at night on these winter roads and just be like, "Fuck yeah!" Like this is just this vibe. I'm loving this vibe. I love the vibe of Low in general, and again, this one's a little tough because it's their, it's their debut. So, but knowing what's to come and like seeing the seeds here, and we'll get to the track I love a lot when we get to it. For me, it gave this album an automatic recommendation. So, but we'll get.
I have a feeling I know which one you're talking about.
You know which one.
I know which one you're talking about. So, you know what? You nailed it. Like when I think of Low, right? What and part of the reason why I wanted to recommend this was I was driving when I was in Duluth, and I got caught in that blizzard.
Yeah, I saw that photo. Your car was under like 3 feet of snow.
Joe, that's after some of it had been taken off by me and some of the people at the hotel.
Put that photo up when we're talking about this in the video.
Yeah.
For the video. So if you watch this on YouTube or whatever, Paul will put a photo up.
Yeah, I'll put the photo up so you guys can see it because and that's after it had been somewhat unburied. When I was there, it was so bad. And that's a rental. So I drive a van normally because I have a brood. But when I go on these work trips, the company pays for my hotel and my rental. And so I got this little 4-door fucking Hyundai something. And the drifts from the blizzard were so bad that it literally covered. You couldn't see the car. Like all you saw was if you were walking by, you wouldn't know. You would have thought that's a giant fucking snow hill, or giant snow mound. It took 4 other people from the hotel. It took getting a snow plowed, shoveled, pushed, everything to get moving out of that spot. It took literally 4 of us to get me going, only for me to get stuck 2 stop signs down. And have luckily a moving truck and another guy come and help push me onto the highway. It was fucking nuts.
Again,
So-
everybody, we live in a frozen hellscape.
Yeah. This is real. So there was a lull in the blizzard, and I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. So 7:00 at night, I got a 2-hour window of when it's supposed to start. The blizzard's supposed to start back up. So I'm quickly packing everything up. I got permission from my boss to get the fuck out early, and I'm driving down towards Minneapolis, and it's just starting to snow, and it's a heavy, icy snow. And I had my headlights on, and as I'm driving down, and I'm getting past the band of the blizzard that I got caught in just for it was only like 10 and 15 minutes. So it wasn't a whole lot of getting caught in it. I left just at the right time. But then it's this calmness, and it's dark, and the headlights are reflecting off the snow. It's just this perfect icy, and Joe, you know exactly if you guys live in the snow, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Is that shiny, reflective, icy that gets on snow, and it's gorgeous. You know it's fucking cold, but it's gorgeous. And I was immediately went, I need some low, and I put low on, and that's what actually inspired me to do this album tonight. I do like this song. I'll admit, for the amount of lyrics it is and for what it is, clocking in at almost 6 minutes is a bit much. For cut. That's my opinion. Next one is Slide, Joe. Again, it's a lot of the same lyrics.
Yep, again, it's that low, the tempo doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and so a lot of this kind of blurs together for me, and this wasn't one of my favorites, to be honest. This is where I was just like, because I hadn't heard this Low album. Like I've never been like the biggest fan of Low. I've listened off and on or whatever people have suggested. So I was like, oh no, this is kind of like doing the same thing again.
Joe, I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a long time since I heard this particular Low album. It really had. I remember really liking Words, and I remember really liking Lullaby. So when I recommended this particular one, I forgot just how minimalist it was compared to some of their other albums that I really enjoy. You and I hit the same wall at the same time, because I was like, oh, fuck. I knew right away when this one kicked in. I'm like, fuck, Joe's gonna be pissed.
Yeah, because it becomes more of the same, and it's the same tempo and the same kind of drum beat on the hi-hat and cymbals. It doesn't change up that much on a lot of these songs, so that's my gripe. But knowing what's gonna come, like, you kind of see they're kind of working this all out.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And it's great. I mean, and they do it really quickly too, because again, this is their first album, so they really shore up their economy, because it's all about job creation right away. Sorry, I had to throw in a Sarah Palin reference.
People could see Russia from their backyard.
Yeah. Well, they live in Duluth. Of course they can. So next we got Lazy. And on my notes here, I have lazy lyrics.
Yeah, lazy lyrics. And poor Sarah gets thrown under the bus on this one.
I don't know
who the fuck Sarah is.
You fucked up, Sarah. I'm just going to say that right now. You fucked up. You pissed off the wrong people, because
Sarah, you're lazy.
You are lazy. She says there's not enough for two. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough for two. And that is
Sarah, get your shit together, Sarah.
Literally, that is the only lyrics on this album. It's not enough. It's not enough. She says there's not enough for two. Sarah, you're lazy. And it is a fucking almost 6-minute song. Again, I love the atmosphere. I love the tonnage, but this just hit all the wrong were all the wrong things for me.
Yeah, it stung. It stung.
And next
this kind of, if the last song put me in a foul mood, this one certainly didn't help.
Right. Because it's just kind of right. Like this should have been an EP, in my opinion, but we'll get to that. Next, Joe, we get Lullaby.
This is my favorite song. And this is the one that saved it. Because at first, and even this one tricked me, because at first I was like, oh, more of the same kind of.
Yep.
And then it just builds. And I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on? And it blew my mind. This song I fucking adored. And this is what gets it an automatic recommendation for me for this song alone.
Yeah. It's a 10-minute song. And I know it sounds weird because we're just complaining
with two verses.
With 2 verses. But the music and the instrumentation takes it places. And this is really, if you want to know the true genesis of what Lowe's to become, this is the prime example right here. Yeah.
This is where I was also thinking, like, early Floyd had to have been somewhat of a, like, I'm not talking, like, I'm saying, like, Sid Barrett into, like, the early Gilmore stuff where they're kind of doing this sort of shit. Like, Careful with That Axe, Eugene, with the minimalist bass and everything kind of building up.
Yeah, Saucerful, Secrets, more metal.
Yep. Yeah, that era. Not even the metal. I think this was more like that weird where they were just
almost Umaguma.
Yeah, not Umaguma, but it's it's like when there's still like Careful with That Axe, Eugene is probably the closest I can think of.
100%. Yeah, that's a great.
But this is so phenomenal, and the guitar work is really great.
Alan is a really good. I mean, we kind of griped him a little bit for him being kind of an average rock vocalist, but his guitar work is really impressive, and this really does shine on it. Yeah, I think this and Words are the 2 real big highlights. Next up, we get C.
I hate it.
Oh, see, I liked this one because I felt it changed the tone, and it felt like a welcome change, and I felt like we got more Mimi. So
too jarring of a change.
Fair enough. I kind of like that weirdness, like,
it's like if the Beatles did Tomorrow Never Knows and then followed up with a Good Day Sunshine.
Yeah, that's a good. You know what though? I'd be all for it. Honestly, I
don't think that would work for me. And like this one, I'm just like, because I heard what that like Lullaby. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yep.
If they're gonna continue kind of doing crazy shit like that, and then Logic, and then it comes to this, I'm like, oh, you sons of bitches.
And it's a short song too. It's a short song. I think having it right after Lullaby was probably not the right move. But I still enjoyed it on the album. And then we get to Down, which gets us back to more of the same, unfortunately.
Yeah, the more of the same stuff, yeah.
Yep, with a lot of the same lyrics. Out of control. I guess the secret's out. Above me looking down. It's not supposed to be that way. But, it works. But again, this is a 7-minute song, 7.5-minute song. But it doesn't have the instrumental that Lullaby did to really pull it out.
Or even justify it.
Yeah. It was just missing that element to really bring it to its full potential, I felt. Next is Drag, and my notes here is this album's dragging on.
And round and round and round and round and round
and round and round. And it's just, it's hitting all the wrong things for me at this point. Like, it's just
same here, pal.
Yep. And then we got Rope, which is and I have it written here. You're gonna need more. Gonna need more, and that's all it is.
The thing with Rope, though, I did like the instrumentation, like all the griping with like some of the lyrics on here. Like this one, like I recall liking the music though. But I could be confusing it with another one of the songs that sounded just the same.
And that's the thing, right? Like, we're not really.
I could have been thinking of, Drag. I think I had been talking about Drag. I like the music. Rope, I don't know.
Yeah, no, Joe, don't feel bad because you're making me question it now. And this is the problem with it. Like, if you're gonna listen to this album, you're going to know exactly what we're talking about because it starts to really blend.
Yeah, the drums are all just.
Yeah, and
it just starts that, and it's the same tempo.
Yep.
But the tempo doesn't change, which doesn't, and it's still kind of like the same guitar, but the lines are slightly different, and
it's within the same scales.
Yep.
And that's part of the problem, right? It's you sit there and you listen and you're like, okay, yeah, that's different, but it's the same because it's using the same scale and kind of keys and very.
It's by design, but it just doesn't work for me.
Right.
It might work for other people, but for me, I'm just like, yeah, enough of this. Like let's change it up. Change it up before I fucking scream.
Yeah,
Let me just throw on Lullaby again. Let me just put Lullaby on repeat.
Yeah. Low and Words and Lullaby.
Yeah.
And then we get Sunshine, which is bizarre.
I like this cover though. Like
it's
if
a
you're
good
gonna do a
cover.
Do something with it, and they did with this.
It's almost like they just got done watching 2001, and instead of using Daisy, they did Sunshine.
Yes, that's awesome. Yep. Yes. I think that might have been literally what happened.
I do. I think that's literally what happened. I think they watched 2001 and went, "We could do that with another song. Let's try Sunshine." Yeah. It's a wonderful, creepy, broken version of the song that takes it and really does a really good job of redefining what the song means and is about. And that's where it ends. And I think it's a fitting ending to this album.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what became of Low, kind of, some of those things. Well, this album didn't get a lot of attention. It did at the time. Later, once Low started to get more attention, people started kind of going back and looking at their stuff. So like retroactively, Pitchfork took this and said, hey, this is number 50 or number 49 on the best albums of 1990. And it made a lot of like later lists and like dream pop lists and things like that. But it really didn't get them a whole lot of attention. It really wasn't until they got on the Sub Pop. And Sub Pop, like Vernon Yard and Cranky really didn't do them a lot of favors. And Sub Pop, for all their kind of faults as a label, they are really good at promoting their talent. And so when The Great Destroyer came out and Drums and Guns came out, those are the ones that people start to get familiar with it. Then you get to Come On, and The Invisible Way, which were their most commercially successful albums here in the US. Very, very good album. Come On is a great, great album. And then they kind of slipped away into obscurity until this Hey What album that came out, and it is charting all over the globe. And then, unfortunately, with this real, true success, Mimi unfortunately passed away. So, as of right now, Alan hasn't given up. He still considers himself in Low, but I don't think we'll ever see another Low album.
I don't think so either.
No,
but
I think
you never know.
Yeah, maybe. There might be some stuff from the vaults. There may be some like unfinished pieces or things like that may come out, but I don't think we'll ever get like a true real Low album again, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's impossible. It is.
Yeah. I think, unless they raise her from the dead or something, but.
Or unless like maybe they have one of their kids, like I said, they have unfinished tracks and things like that, and he decides to make it a family gig, which I could see him doing, honestly.
Good. Yeah.
Maybe that's where they go.
It'd be interesting to go that route. And I think it'd be more acceptable to fans than hiring somebody who kind of sounds like Mimi.
Yeah, I think so. I think the fans would totally accept it. that, you know, if they had started bringing the kids in, and because they do have, I believe, 2 children, and seeing where that goes, and so yeah, there it is. So Joe, would you recommend I Could Live in Hope by Low?
Yeah, just maybe not as the intro album to them. Like some of the stuff, like ones you named before off of the Sub Pop label, those are probably where I dip my toe in first, and then maybe go round back to this one.
Yeah,
this is just not a really good introduction to the band. Like it's fine for what it is, and Lullaby is epic, but if you're wanting to get into them, there's better entry points, I would say.
There is, and I'm going to say I would now. We talked about this, where I mentioned this a couple of times on different podcasts, and you and I talked about over the years. When I got into Pink Floyd, again, I started at Pipers at the Gates of Dawn and bought each album chronologically. And I wanted to do that because I knew of Pink Floyd's evolution. Sorry, guys, for the background noise. I knew about Pink Floyd's evolution, so I really wanted to hear it. The difference there is, I loved doing that, and I'd recommend anyone that hasn't gotten in the Pink Floyd to really take that journey. And it's fun. Low is not a band you can do that with, because there's not enough change over time. The good is really, really good, but there is a reason. I mean, and there is a specific reason why they didn't chart very well for a long time, and so I would say, I would go with Come On, then The Invisible Way, then go back to The Great Destroyer. And once you kind of had those 3 albums, then I would say go back and start listening to maybe I Could Live in Hope and The Law and Division, The Curtain. Like if you really like stuff on those 3 albums and you really want to get more into Low, then start going backwards. But if you listen to Come On, The Invisible Way, and The Great Destroyer, and it's not doing anything for you, you're never going to like this band.
Yeah, and this album won't do anything for you.
And this album will do nothing for you. Yeah. But yes, because of Words and because of Lullaby, I say absolutely I recommend this album.
Sweet.
So, Joe, let's get the plugs, my man.
Brown and I still have to do Thief. Probably after the new year, and then following that up, Brown picked Crank to do.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Oh
God. All right. All right. I just watched a movie, and I'm not gonna say you guys should do it because I know you hate that. What was it? Give me 1 second. I actually saved that the poster. And I would say, regardless, if you don't do it, it's called Hot Lead, Hard Fury.
Yeah, you posted that on social media. I was intrigued.
Watch this movie. It's set in 1977. Here, I'll read you the synopsis for it. The industrial ghetto, Steel City, is under siege from organized crime, corruption, and a new synthetic drug called Voodoo Blue, which they describe in the movie as coke combined with LSD. When news of a drug sting leaks to the wrong people, Detective Cal Beefer becomes a casualty, despite protection from veteran cop Solomon Link, played by Ron Van Cleef, Way of the Black Dragon and Death of Bruce Lee. When his big brother, Chuck Beefer, comes to town, he wants answers. Chuck, once a cop himself, seeks out the source of the leak and apprehend the killer and leading dealer of Voodoo Blue, a man named Afro Steel. Dude, it is 2 hours long, and it is brilliant. It was like a Kickstarter funded movie, and you could just tell they're actually having fun making it, and it's truly is a really good love letter to like the old canon films of the 70s and 80s and Grindhouse. It's a lot of fun, dude. Yeah, I highly recommend you watch that movie when you get a chance.
What's it on?
What was Hot Lead? Was it on Tubi? I have to look that up. What was it on? I have it saved.
Don't worry about it. I'll figure it.
What was it on?
Oh, this is dead air. I'll find it.
All right. Yeah. You find it. You'll find it. Sorry, I don't mean to give dead air. I'll cut that. Don't worry about that. But yeah, I found it, and oh no, it's on Troma. It was on my Troma app. Yeah.
All right.
Yes. It's on my Troma app. That's how I found it. Yes. So Joe, now, what are we doing next? Are we doing a show next week, or
we can? I don't have anything going on.
I don't have anything going on, so let's do a show next week. Okay, guys, you're getting a New Year's edition.
Oh, Paul.
Oh fuck. Oh fuck. What
I think this one's gonna test. Rate that album. Oh, I'm laughing so hard because this is gonna. We're both gonna fucking hate this album.
Oh fuck my life! What are we doing, Joe?
Well, you see, Paul, I think we've been a little too hopping on the dirty libs side of things.
Oh, fuck me.
You know, there was a singer in a band called Stained named Aaron Lewis.
Well,
apparently he has a country album out.
Are we doing Country Boy?
No, we are doing Aaron Lewis's Frayed at Both Ends, Paul.
Frayed at Both Ends? What the fuck is this? Hang on.
Featuring his Let's Go Brandon anthem, Am I the Only One?
Oh God. Okay, let's look at this here. Again, Goodbye Town. Everybody talks to God. Am I the only one? Kill me like you love me. Pull me under. Life behind bars. Waiting there for me. They call me Doc, featuring the Creativettes, Vince Gill, and Dan Tyminski. I hate life right now, dude. Get what you get, Sticks and Stones, one and the same, and someone. Oh, there's two versions. There's a deluxe version, Joe.
Yeah.
There's a deluxe version. What's the difference with the deluxe version?
I don't know.
Dude, there's no difference. Like, I'm looking at this. Oh, there's an added song called The Third Degree. Well, I think we owe it to ourselves to do the deluxe edition.
Yeah, we gotta really stick it to the lips, Paul.
Yeah, no, we're doing the deluxe version. So the Frayed at Both Ends is 51 minutes, and the deluxe version is 56 minutes. So we're doing that. Yes, all right. We're doing that, buddy.
I don't even know why this guy popped in my head. I was just like, didn't he do a bunch of like weird like I saw a video of him just like fucking stinking drunk like grinning about Joe Biden at some bar. And it just stuck in my brain, and I was like, someday me and Paul were gonna have to do that. And now that day has come.
That day has come. End of the year. Fucking New Year.
You're going to be so angry at me.
Dude, you know what, man? Yeah, but that's okay. Okay. That's okay. We did Steve. Dude, I gave you Steven Seagal. So, you know what? I deserve this. I'm fine with that.
I don't think anybody deserves this.
You know what, man? I think I can get... Maybe that will be our 100th subscriber. I'll do a cover of that.
No, you can cover Am I the Only One?
Am I the only one? I gotta look up
what would you do?
Oh my God, I gotta look up the lyrics for this. Hang on, let me see here. Oh God. Well, yeah. Well, we're gonna have a lot to talk about. Am I the only one who quits singing along every time they play a Springsteen song? Damn you, man. Son of a bitch!
Willing to bleed or take a bullet for being free? Fun fact, Aaron Lewis never served for his country.
No, I think he was a draft dodger, actually. No, he's too young to be a draft dodger, but you know what I'm saying. Oh, my God.
He's a chicken hawk.
Well, he is. Another statue coming down in a town near you, watching the threads of old glory come undone. Okay. Oh.
We're in for it, Paul.
No, I got a lot to say about that because that is the whole, oh, fuck, what is that called? There's a whole thing on it. I can't remember what the term is, but it's where they falsified. It's where the South, in order to try and justify what they did, created this whole new, basically lied about this whole theory about, like, what the war was really about, and like all these things, and like this great lie, and like all these statues that people think they came up. A lot of those fucking Confederate statues aren't even 100 years old yet. They came up like in the early 1900s, and like the 20s and the 30s when racism was really coming into play. Fucking Christ. And they want to
Sounds like more of your liberal bullshit, Paul.
Oh, sure, of course it's my liberal bullshit. God damn me for being fucking educated. God
You're already hot about it. You're coming in hot. We haven't listened to the album yet.
I'm coming in hot. You're coming in hot, Maverick. You're coming in hot. I apparently maybe my Sarah Palin reference from earlier, my dated Sarah Palin reference, brought this upon us. All right, Joe, we're doing Aaron Lewis, Frayed at Both Ends, Deluxe Edition.
The only one who's not brainwashed, Paul, making his way through the land of the lost, who still gives a shit and worries about his kids, so they try to undo all the things he did.
God damn it. God damn it. God damn it. Son of a bitch. Let's look at these lyrics real quick.
I can't wait for you to be driving around with your kids listening to this album.
God damn it.
Yeah.
God damn it. This fucking guy. This fucking guy.
This might be the worst album we listened to. I haven't heard one note of it yet.
Dude, we are coming in. I mean, it could be this could be worse than Steven Seagal. I have a feeling this is going to be worse.
I think this will be worse than Pat Boone, Paul, because that's your mark.
That is my mark. That is my mark. God, this is gonna. I mean, I'm going in, obviously, like the audience is going to listen to this and be like, oh, these fucking judgmental bastards. But I'm not a country fan. I really struggle with modern country as it is. I
hate modern country.
I hate modern country. And then
I hate Aaron Lewis.
Yeah, and I hate Aaron Lewis. So this is really going to test me. Yeah, I think this is going to give Pat Boone a real serious run for his money.
I think he's going to bury Pat Boone.
It could, but the one thing I am kind of thinking why it may not is the Pat.
You're a big fan of It's Been a While.
I'm a big fan of that song. Yeah, let me see those lighters. Let me feel them lighters, people. I didn't like any of the musical arrangements that came with Pat Boone, and this has 14 opportunities to be better than what Pat Boone did. I'm going into it optimistically, going, this has 14 opportunities to be better than Pat Boone in some way. So
I want to hear any of these 14 opportunities. Shout shines, Pat Boone.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm looking at it from that point of view. I'm going into it optimistically and saying there are 14 opportunities here to surprise me. There's 14 opportunities here to be better than Pat Boone. I will say it probably, oddly enough, will be better than Saint Anger.
I don't know, Paul.
It could be better than Saint Anger, or at least on par. Yeah, we'll have to find out. It's gonna be pretty crazy. Good times, Joe. Good times. All right, buddy. Well, do you want to take us out?
Nope.
This has been Rate That Album with Paul Muad'Dib and Joe Fremming. Thank you for listening.